What does life look like after 10 years of being a passive investor in notes? Stay tuned. Welcome to episode 210 of NoteSchool TV. Yep, we're moving forward. And we have an amazing guest this week, and we will get to him in just a minute. Before we do, some housekeeping items. Number one, make sure and like this episode. Make sure and share it with your friends. Share it with everybody you know. We appreciate you doing that. And then subscribe to NoteSchool's TV channel if you have not already done so. And lastly, just make sure and hit that bell notification so that you will be aware of when we are about to go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central. Also, if you'd love to know what more about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. With that, I want to bring on our esteemed leader, founder of NoteSchool, our chief visionary officer, and all-around great guy, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Hello, Joe.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing?
It's good. It's good. We have a lot of really super cool activity in the industry, and we're grateful for that. We seem to be on a good trajectory. And we're going to talk a little bit about that from a guy that's had a little history with us in the past. And,
he has.
So I'm excited about that. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to drop off. I'll see you on the back end of the show, and you have a great interview.
All right. Our guest today, you're going to hear this in the interview, but he has a long history with us at NoteSchool. He has had a very busy corporate job. He's traveled around the world pretty much all of his career that I've known him, which has been the last 10 years, and he's still made notes work really well. So he's probably bought a note from more foreign countries than anybody in NoteSchool, but it kind of shows that you really can do it on a very part-time passive basis. You guys welcome now in Tampa, Florida, Mr. Joe LaCount.
Hey, thanks, Eddie.
How are you?
The opportunity. I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Well, I think about you. You started with us, and you lived in Minneapolis.
I did. Yeah, that was back in 2013, 14 when I first started with NoteSchool. I was in Minneapolis and traveling around the country, both United States and internationally.
Yeah, I said in the intro, you probably bought more notes and more when you were sitting in a different country than probably anybody in NoteSchool.
Yep, and Eddie, that's the beauty of it. I love that flexibility to have that opportunity to be able to do that.
Or click the buy button when you were in the air.
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome, Joe. We are glad you're here. Talk a little bit. You have moved to Tampa, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And you just survived a pretty big storm down there, right?
Yeah, that's luckily it hit a little bit south of Tampa, and I think we kind of mitigated some of the damage. I don't want to downplay because there's a lot of people that are still without power and still without homes, and I personally know a couple of people that their houses uninhabitable, but luckily we just had some minor damage, and just looking to help folks out if they need a hand.
Well, our prayers are with all of you guys down there. I'm glad for your blessing. I know some people weren't as lucky, and so we're thinking about all of you guys, and life goes on, but it doesn't go on as well when you don't have power and you don't get to live in your house, right?
Yep.
All right. So give us a little bit about your background, Joe.
Sure. Well, I've been in corporate America for 42 plus years. I started when I was 2, so but been with a number of different companies: Honeywell, Textron, Alexander Industries, Target, GE, R.R. Donnelley, St. Jude Medical, and now I currently work for Cargill. So all in the, I would say, the quality engineering, quality space, process improvement, business improvement. So for me, taking a look at businesses and dissecting what's going well, what's not going well is, kind of my forte. I don't know, Eddie, if I fit in with your typical engineer or not, but I do have an engineering degree and an engineering master's. I think that has really helped me with, I would say, the kind of like the financial side in getting into the details and studying that.
Well, the thing that I like about it is you're a good litmus test of, is this doable and is it scalable?
Yeah.
Because somebody like you would not have stayed in it if it was just a lot more trouble than they ever understood it to be, or a lot more cumbersome, or took a lot of long-term management, because that's what you do, is measure scale every day for a living, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things, so, another piece about me is that, I started investing in real estate in 1985, and I was buying, fixing, flipping, and also holding. But, the hard part for me was I moved around a lot, due to, my corporate experience, in the different jobs that I've held. And, being I would say a non-present landlord really poses a lot of different problems.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things after, I would say, right around 30 years, I was kind of like, do I really want to continue to do this? Because honestly, the management company fees, the lack of presence on my part and being able to, just be there, really started to dramatically impact, I would say, the profitability of the real estate holdings that I had. So I was really looking for some options. And when Notes came up, I'm like, can this really be this good?
Yeah. I have a saying, and I kind of made this up, Joe, so you don't feel embarrassed to call me out in front of a few thousand of our best friends on here, right? But no, I say that you can own 1,000 notes or 55 rentals, you pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I really loved about it is the notes that, they gave me the security, they gave me the return, they gave me the flexibility. And I think the biggest piece that I really didn't appreciate until I got into notes is the diversity. I mean, I can be all across the country. I don't have to buy where I'm located or where I'm situated. And that just, to me, opened up my eyes to.
And there's no particular disadvantage.
No, honestly.
I mean, that's the thing about it all the time. I'm so used to it. I've been doing it for all these decades. And, I've got assets today that we're in the process of buying, and some are in Indianapolis, and some are in San Antonio, and some are in Arkansas. And, I mean, there's cushion above what we're paying for the note in every situation.
Yeah.
God forbid one of these performing notes doesn't pay. It's not like, well, I'm going to lose the top half of my money, because there's a cushion factor. And today, with technology, and really after 2008, there's so many boots on the ground that can do things that don't require my boots, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about, like, when you first started into notes, where were you going with it? What was your initial strategy?
So my initial strategy, and I really focused in on performing notes, because one of the things that I felt like I really didn't have the time to do, was the non-performing and work those out.
Yeah.
To me, I wanted to learn that as a backup strategy, as I, get into, either semi-retirement or retirement, but really my focus was on performing notes. Because that gave me the liquidity to, be able to continue. And I strictly invested in qualified funds. And that was my traditional IRA, my Roth IRA. And the one piece that everybody forgets about is their HSA.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so I took a look and said, okay, all of these are my wealth building engines versus my cash flow engines. Mm-hmm. And so my business plan was really about, how do I supersize, mine, my kids, my wife's, my grandkids, Roth IRAs, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really how I started. And, I was a little bit skittish, but that's, I had enough money where I could start buying and try some of these things out. And, you're always a little bit tenuous when you first start out, but I mean, with the training and the accessibility of notes and everything, Note School made it really easy for me to make that transition.
Well, and we've gotten better, we're 10 years later, and so the things that we've developed that we can help students with today, a lot of things we didn't have quite in place at the time you joined. You still made it work and made it work well. But right now, with a lot of done for you services,
Yep.
even buying non-performing, I mean, there's services that we can have an oversight in helping you with that. If we can help somebody that might have a note that we can help you find, and then all of a sudden we can help you manage it long term, and so you don't have to do a lot of that performing notes. The automation that we've done today, a lot of things that were more mechanical back then are far more scaled now. And so we appreciate people like you that thought it was wonderful. And I just say today, when somebody joins, I think we can make it a little more wonderful because we just got a little more time of trying to study how we could help you guys.
Well, Eddie, that's, I think, one of the things that I love about Note School is you continue to reinvent yourself. And I think in this day and age, you almost have to take a look. You find out who your key stakeholders are. You get those listening posts. You listen to, it doesn't mean you're going to go off on a rabbit trail, but you listen to the majority of what they're asking for. And that's the beauty is I love the evolution, and I love being part of that evolution.
Listen, I love the business, and that's why it's not so hard to listen to folks, because I really do love it. We do it ourselves. And, I look at somebody like you, and it does me good to know that, we had a fairly decent impact on how you can retire. Right. Yeah, and so that's really good. Joe, one of the really cool things about having you on here is you've seen a lot of sunsets in this business, right?
Yep.
And so I really want to talk about, like, I tell people all the time, Note School is a home for burnout landlords, right? And that doesn't actually have to be the truth, but some people never tried landlording. They just heard about it. Some people tried it like you, and then they knew about it.
Yeah.
Yep. But you're now building your sunset, which is you're saying you want to be able to financially walk off your corporate job. You've done a lot of wealth building techniques, buying partials and retirement accounts, but now you're looking like, I want to just acquire enough notes where I've got mailbox money coming in that replaces my salary. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things there's a model that I built a number of years ago when I first started, because again, when I approached investors, I wanted to make sure that they knew that, this is a business. This is not a sideline or a kind of a one-trick pony. So I really took a look and said, okay, first I'm going to really do this wealth building and show that this is going to be done, because it's one thing using your money. It's another thing using someone else's money. Yeah. So I really wanted to prove that concept out. So now that, the wealth building strategy doesn't mean it's going to stop, but now I'm really kind of pivoting and taking a look and saying, okay, how do I get enough mailbox money, $10, $15, $20,000 a month in mailbox money, that if I want to take a look and say, hey, you know what, I want to step away from my corporate job, or maybe even downsize a little bit and maybe work part-time, it gives me that flexibility. Because as you take a look at, that passive income coming in, you're basically independently wealthy at the point in time that your passive income matches, what your monthly, expenditures are. And that's a wonderful feeling. I'm ticking towards that. And I got my little thermometer on my wall here. And it just, like I said, if I take a look at a note, I'll take a look at, okay, what's my exit strategy? Do I want to purchase this in a qualified account? Do I want to purchase this in my business? And it just gives me those options to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's changed, Joe. I think when you joined Note School, we sold it more of a part-time business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is it's really a strategy, not even a business.
Yeah, it really is.
Like it's less than a business.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I take a look at that strategy, I can share that strategy, and I can see in an investor, sometimes that light bulb goes on, like, dang, if that guy can do it, I can do it. So you're bringing kind of a lens to, hey, do you have a Coverdell or something like that, that you would want to self-direct? Do you have an HSA? Do you have enough, disposable income that you really don't need to touch that? Because, I mean, healthcare is not getting any cheaper. And by the time I retire, it's not going to be any cheaper. This just gives me much more options. And when I start to talk to people about this, they can almost put themselves in my spot and saying, that's a pretty good idea. How do I get started? And that's the conversation. It's not even about selling. It's about educating. And I just educate people on what I'm doing. And if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, I mean, I've told, people what I do, and they've told me, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. And, and I kind of say, well, show me where it's not legal. But for the most part, I would say people really resonate with just my story and what I'm doing for my family and me, and the investors that we have.
Well, it's been a great journey. I appreciate you. I appreciate the relationship you've had. You've been a model student. And I know that, sometimes we've been at events over the years and, hey, Joe LaCount bought this asset and let's look at it. And you'll just do some kind of a breakdown, as we have many students do, that, looking at deals is good for the guy that hasn't bought a lot of deals yet, right?
Yes.
How did you get confidence and how did you evaluate it and where were your obstacles and stuff? But I've heard you laugh and say more than once, yeah, I hit the buy button on this asset as I was flying to Europe, kind of thing. And I'm thinking that is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the whole platform really lends itself to, doing this anywhere. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. It's that flexibility.
All right. So we have a big event coming up here.
Oh, yeah.
Expo. You've been a couple of times.
I have.
You've been many times.
Don't miss it.
Tell them about it.
The thing that I love about Note Expo for me, because I'm a planner, I do strategic planning and stuff like that, and I develop my own plans. And so for me, Note School is really kind of that kickoff to my fiscal year 25 plan. Because, I listen to you and others that talk about the industry and, what we're projecting to see. And honestly, those industry insights are so valuable, because there's so many different sound bites and nuggets that I pull out of there, and just use to talk to people about, hey, do you realize that, these things, that this is happening, in our economy. So there's that piece. But then the other piece that I really enjoy is just listening and collaborating with, I would say fellow investors. It doesn't matter how experienced or how inexperienced they are. There's always something to learn from everybody that you meet. And that's what I love about it, because, I've been to a lot of different, RIAs and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I'm not going to talk to you because that's my trade secret. Honestly, I don't get that feeling at Note School. I get more of a feeling of, hey, if you have a question, go talk to so-and-so or go talk to so-and-so. So for me, it might sound corny, but it doesn't to me. It feels more like almost like a family reunion every year. And being able to see the different vendors out there, to talk to them, find out what's new. Yeah. It's one of those that, if try not to miss it. It's a great opportunity to network.
Well, it's not only learning, but as you're saying, it's community, right?
Yeah.
Community of go-giver investors. It's community of go-giver vendors. It's community of people that provide services, that things that you don't want to do or don't have the confidence or competence to do, right?
Exactly.
Or things that just give you the freedom, right? But also, as you said, collaborating about, with other investors and stuff. And so we realized that we started Note Expo, over a dozen years ago, and we really did it because we didn't have a place in the industry where people could really do that. And obviously it's not just Note School people that are there. It's people there that may have never been to Note School.
Yeah.
But and that's okay. Or it's people that have been 10 years in Note School like you have. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we were trying to do, is to say, as an industry, what could we do as a give back that would be great? So obviously we'd love to have people come. Obviously the NoteExpo.com and Joe, and they'll get to see Joe LaCount there, right?
Yep, I'll be there.
Joe, we thank you so much. Joe Varnador, I'm going to let you close us up, my man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on with us today. Joe, you're an inspiration for everyone. We appreciate you. You've been with us so long, and there's been, it's been a great relationship. So guys, Note Expo, let's see, November 8th and 9th. So that's going to be the hot ticket, as I said last week, in Dallas during those times. So Note Expo 2024, just Google it, and there'll be a link up here in just a second. But we'll see you there. And with that, we'll see you on the other side. Have a great week. Stay safe. Take care. Bye now.